What's going on, people? It's your man, the YB, back once again. So, Ben Whittaker versus Ezra cat. Some cat called Ezra, yeah? Listen, let me tell you, man, something right now. I haven't watched Ben Whittaker before. Because of the political situation and all the talking and the rah-rah, I watched this one. And obviously I've seen his highlights and whatnot, but all that goofing off and whatnot, ultimately, Ezra, yeah, he a solid kind of D-level dude. Hands up, slow, straight up and down. And when Whittaker's punching, he looks alright, but he can't punch. That's the truth. This cat Ezra, yeah, again, solid dude, straight up and down, slow feet, no power, no speed himself. Straight up and down, right? Heavy bag. Gonna be real with you, man. That cat Ezra, essentially a heavy bag. And Whittaker, given how tall he is and long he is, and he's rapid, especially early in the fight. He fell off towards the end, but he's rapid. The question is, at the end of the fight, yeah, Ezra had no touches on his face. No marks. Yes, in the last round, Ben Whittaker got busy. Too little, too late, though. Bear in mind, people, yeah, this whole thing was sold as, I'm gonna knock this guy out, etc., etc. Whittaker put the hammer down in round 10, and Ezra was looking all bent out of shape. But apart from that, there was one point, about round 7 or 6, Whittaker got backed up to the ropes. He was backed up to the ropes, yeah, and he was standing there like, this poster there was beak in the air, and I thought, oh, this dude, an accident waiting to happen. Accident waiting to happen, I'm telling you now. Accident. When he was being pressed, there wasn't too many answers. Now, Ezra, yeah, his mistake was he just stood there in the middle of the ring with his gloves up. That's a heavy bag. If you're going to have your gloves up, in my opinion, you need to be pushing forward. You getting hit anyway. Ben was hitting him in the middle of the ring anyway, so you might as well have pushed on. Because when he pushed Ben to the ropes, Ben didn't have too many answers. As most people don't. Once you're squared up on the ropes here, well, it's not much we can really do but move off. There was a few occasions Ezra got him there, but he didn't have the tenacity. He didn't have the pitbull cruise. Yeah? That is the most expensive real estate in the ring if you're going to be a pressure fighter / earmuffs on fighter. Hands up, walking forward. You got to get them to the ropes, and when they're there, you got to work. You can't be posturing and waiting. Anyway, this, no doubt, Ezra exposed Ben Whittaker for me. He should have been stopped, or he should have been mauled. The fight should have looked like round 10 the whole way through. There's no reason not to. He was so slow. Ezra was so slow, and it was evident. I rate Ben Whittaker's talent. I think he goofing off too much, though. And if you notice, Ben Whittaker was getting tired too, because at the start of the fight, he goofing off. The last few rounds, he weren't doing no goofing no more. So I wish he'd just focus on applying that speed to being devastating. Because if you don't hone that goofiness into productive value, yeah, skipping around and dancing around and jumping on the spot, you don't score points. You don't knock people out, jumping on the spot and goofing off. Yeah, so save that energy, because he's quick. He's got good skills. He's got good instincts. But apply that energy, yeah, into spinning someone's block and breaking them down. That was what was missing. And I believe it's obviously harder to break someone down, yeah, if you're spending half the time thinking about... It's hard enough to box with someone, right? It's even harder when you're trying to box with someone and think about the next Michael Jackson move you fixing to pull. You can't break someone down and think about the moves you want to pull to be cool and all that other stuff. Just break the dude down, man. Bust him up. And yeah, if once you've busted him up, yeah, you want to pull some Michael Jackson moves, fair enough. But he hasn't... For me, you have to earn it. Ezra said some good bars in the build-up. He said, doing all that goofy stuff, yeah, it's okay against bums. Now, as it happens, I mean, Ezra no doubt exposed him, in my opinion. Ezra's straight up and down. Yeah, he's not world level. He's not European or British level. I'm not sure who the 175... You know what, I wouldn't mind seeing. Anthony Yard's a free agent. I think Ben Whittaker's only had about 8 fights, so it's too early for him, but that, in a year or 2 or 3, or 2 really, 1 or 2, will be interesting. I'd back Yard though, because Yard can squabble. Yard's proven he can squabble like that. Ben hasn't, again, the few times I saw him on the ropes, man, he looked like, I was like, oh. There was a few times he got clopped, I thought, oh. He got clopped, yeah, and there was no slick shit at that point. He got clopped and he was like, oh, what do I do now, kind of thing. And someone like Yard will clop him, and he'll be like, oh, and then get clopped again. There was no second phase from Ezra, and he was too slow as well. He didn't have the speed to compete. But even then, even without the speed to compete, he was half competing. It wasn't. No one can watch that fight. Yeah, the scorecards. Yes, Ben won almost every round, but it wasn't like. I'd say round 10 was a round where you can say, okay, that was a domination. Even then, no knockdowns though, almost. But why weren't you doing that round 10? In round 4 and 5, it was evident. It was evident from the jump, this guy can't compete. After the first half, Ezra got even slower, obviously. Ben got slower too, but there was still that differential. Work this guy, man. Because I believe if you go in points with these kind of cats, yeah, even if you look at Bivol's resume, when he's fighting these type of cats, straight up and down cats, they got stopped. So I am sceptical of Ben Whittaker's power. I'm not going to lie. I'm sceptical of that. And half of the reason is, it's a fact, you can't generate, or you generate significantly less power when you're dancing around the place. So unless you're going to be a fiddler, I'm trying to think, what 175 boxers are fiddlers? I guess you could say Bivol, but again, when Bivol's fighting bums, he stopped them. Complete bums. I'll tell you what will be good now, actually. Ben Whittaker versus Craig Richards. Throw him in there. Because Craig can box. You know what I'm saying? Let's see that fight. And he's quite lanky too. That's an intriguing fight. Let's watch that one. That's what should be next for him. No more. Ben needs to go up now. He needs to be tested more. That's what that showed me. In my opinion, Ben certainly learned something from this. And what it should be is, let's focus now. Keep the clowning stuff when it's relevant. Once you've punked someone off here and they're butchered and they're ready to go and you want to do some clowning, that's fine. But the clowning in general, you ain't that good, if that makes sense. The truth is, you weren't stunting on this cat here that you said you were going to knock out. And really, you should have knocked out. You weren't stunting on him like that until round 10. Too late then. Yeah? And people say things like, oh, they make excuses. Oh, well, he wanted to get the rounds in. All the Sky Cats. Oh, he wanted to get the rounds in now. You weren't saying that before the fight, though. Don't flop here and spend half the fight goofing off and you looking all silly. And it is boxing's hard, obviously, but at the end of the day, chin in the air, looking all bent out of shape, and he clopped him with Ezra. Yeah, Ezra's slow, and he clopped Ben a few times. Yeah, clopped him a few times. And I believe and Ezra wasn't even applying pressure like that. Ezra was following Ben around the ring, and he was like a heavy bag with legs, just following him, getting touched. And Ben couldn't do nothing. For me, Ezra's almost an ideal opponent. Yes, he's half durable, but he was slow and just following him. He should have been food. He should have been butchered everywhere. He damn sure should have been put down at least once. So the power is skeptical. That adjustment can be made though. Stop jumping around, man. Ben's defensive prowess, it's there. So just tuck in, man. Tuck in, rock and roll, and whip some shots off. I'll tell you who was good. I'm not going to cover the fight, but I rated them two, Jack Massey and Chamberlain. That was the highlight of the night, to be honest. Two dudes came to fight. Yeah? No bullshit. Listen, I'm fixing to cook Chris Bill Smith and that big, useless cotton picker, React Poor. In fact, let me not even get started. I'll be here 20 minutes more. Listen, Ben, forget about Beterbiev. Beterbiev would do some, even a 50-year-old Beterbiev will do ungodly things to this cat. Because I didn't see no inside fighting from him. It seems to be an epidemic these times. There's an epidemic in people. React Poor, Bill Smith, to be honest. Bill Smith was trying to play it cool like he weren't hugging. Bill Smith, React Poor, the huggers of the year. Okoli, React Poor, and Bill Smith. The biggest huggers I've ever seen. All they do is hug. Where's the inside fighting? Didn't see none of it. There was a bit of hugging in Chamberlain and Jack Massey, but that was more because they was tired, because they was working. Yeah? There's an epidemic. No one knows how else to stand there toe to toe and tangle. Yeah? Holyfield style. No one knows how to do that. It's a lost art. Everyone want to be like, oh, let's fanny about and then let's cling on for dear life. It's like, whoa, what is this? This ain't wrestling, people. So Ben need to lock in, man, and start digging. That's the bottom line. He got the speed for it. Start digging now. Stop messing about. You're pissing me off. That's the truth. All them corny games. Does it look cool? You fighting bums though. Yeah, fair play. Listen, if Ben Whittaker goes in there, yeah, and he's able to mess about and win 10 rounds against Beterbiev, fair play to him. Beterbiev will pop him spark in his mouth. All that running around, it worked for a minute or two maybe. And then you get popped in the mouth and it's like, oh, at some point you got to fight. At the higher levels. Yeah? At some point. You got to sit down a bit on your shots and let him swing in. Because truth is, you ain't even hurting Ezra. Who Ezra? We don't know. If you can't hurt Ezra, yeah, which you didn't, if you can't butcher him, because even if you haven't got power, you've got speed, so he should have been touched everywhere, right? Ezra, he's straight up and down, standing there, following you around the ring. You're big and long and quick. You should have been touching him all over. I mean, look at Errol Spence, for example, versus Crawford. Yeah? And Errol Spence is much more dynamic than Ezra, right? So, that's how it's supposed to look. This guy's got slow feet like Errol Spence. His hands are slow relatively like Errol Spence. Touch the guy, man. Be slick and touch the guy. You ain't always got to be backpedaling and doing some goofy shit. Yeah? Touch him. And if you ain't touching him, you're going to have problems. That's the truth. Because the fact that Ben Whittaker, yeah, at this level, even look at people like Naz. Prince Naz, yeah, he was a small dude as well. Prince Naz did all that goofy stuff, but he was knocking these dudes out, right? So Naz would do things like, he'd kind of bend in, load his hook or his uppercut up and just jump in with it. Yeah? So you can be goofy. Well, Naz is a good example of being goofy, but whacking. This guy is just goofy. He ain't whacking nothing. He ain't whacking a dude who's standing there following him like this. Slow as molasses, right? This must be, I reckon Joe Joyce's mum is this cat's mum as well. Joe Joyce for sure. This is Joe Joyce's second brother. Sorry, step brother. Sorry. What do they call it? Half brother. Yeah, Ezra is Joe Joyce's half brother for sure. Slow as molasses. Super slow. But he's good, straight up and down kind of thing. I rate that. He's straight up and down, and he came to have a go. There's levels to the game, right? It was evident from the jump. There's levels to the game. There was always going to be levels to the game. Guess what? Mr. Big Talk a Lot didn't deliver that. You don't watch that fight and say there's levels. You watch that fight and say, okay, it's kind of like, okay, boring. Oh well, he wanted to go rounds. Listen, people, if you want to go rounds here, guess what? You got 10 rounds. Go 7 rounds. And then start lighting dude up for the last 3 and stop him in the 9th or something, or 10th. You don't just jump in there and have a bit of a go in round 10. It's too late then. I'm not sure, what's that teaching you? I'd argue nothing. It's teaching you to be sloppy and goofing off, and then all it's going to take people is someone, what I'm trying to say. Ezra, yeah, someone who's a little bit more aggressive, similar kind of defense, pressing him. Ben was already getting tired and Ezra weren't pressing him. Someone like that, I'm trying to think of an example. Oh, you know what? Aziz, man. Aziz fought on the card as well. I didn't watch that fight. Aziz versus Ben. That's in-house, Shalom. Listen, I'm going to be honest. I think Aziz would do him. That's the truth. I think Aziz would. But then again, I thought Aziz would do Buatsi, but Buatsi's tight. That's what I'm saying, though. Ben has the talent. He's got the long, kind of taller and longer, and I think he's probably quicker than Buatsi. He's got the talent and the speed and the IQ, the cuteness, yeah, to be like a Buatsi. But Buatsi holds his feet and knows how to dig. He's not always jumping around the place. So hone that whatever you got and start digging, man, is my advice. Because if you don't, you can be food to top level guys. Yard cut through him, I believe. Yeah, I think Lyndon Arthur has similar power. Lyndon Arthur would go 10 rounds with Ezra, kind of thing. Who even knows? Let's have a look at Lyndon Arthur's resume. I bet Lyndon Arthur's, let's have a look. Lyndon Arthur. Box rec. Obviously, Lyndon isn't as dynamic as, or as young and as fresh as Whittaker. But I reckon the power's similar. That's the truth. He's got that kind of, that slappy power. That's not fair. Ben Whittaker, when he digs his uppercuts in, they look good. He's just not digging his feet in, man. He's not turning his toes into the ground. Lyndon Arthur, box rec. I'm just going to make a point. I believe these cats have similar power. Yeah, if Ben's going to keep jumping around, you're a Lyndon Arthur type cat. Can't punch. And that's not good. Who is he fighting? Yeah, look at it, look. Lyndon Arthur, yeah. Fighting these Ezra cats. Nah, that's not true. Ezra wasn't a complete bum. He was undefeated, to be fair. So let's see when Anthony Yard. So yeah, Lyndon Arthur was fighting a whole bunch of bums. So listen, maybe Ezra's better than. He looks slow though. He looks slow. He looks slow and ponderous, man. He was game though. He was decent. That Ezra cat, but I'm just saying. Ben has a talent. He needs to. It's enough now. I've seen enough now. I've seen enough in that fight that I'm worried for him, if that makes sense. If he keeps going down that route. Because when Naz was doing it, he was knocking dudes out with it, right? These type of cats, he was knocking them out. Yeah? Because when you got your hands down, you're doing that leaky defense, yeah, you got to have something to offer as well. And that's was doing that stuff, hitting people, knocking them out, and then maybe getting put down himself. You got to have something coming back though. If you're just doing that goofy stuff and touching people and it's not doing nothing, pop, pop, pop. There was multiple points. Ben versus Slow Dude was getting hit in his head. At one point I thought this might be the beginning of the end. Any one of them shots from someone a bit better, a bit stronger, whatever, clopped him. Oh, it's over for him. Yeah. There's something for me's got to change, man. You've got to get serious now because you ain't that good. You ain't good enough where you can goof off. If he'd have gone in there, yeah, and just butchered him for 5 rounds and stopped him, you can say, well, he goofy, but he with it. The truth is, you was getting tired. You weren't doing nothing in there, and you was tired. And the man was just standing there in front of you, following you. So there's issues. I can see it going left for him. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Smash the like button, subscribe, like off the bell, 100%, no doubt about it. Stop.